Dear friends, welcome to the class of descriptive statistics. Up till now, we have discussed how to find measure of central tendencies such as arithmetic mean, geometric mean, harmonic mean, median and mode of the distribution. Similarly, we have computed quartiles of the distribution and then we discuss how to find measures of dispersion. We discussed four measures of dispersion namely range, mean deviation, quartile deviation and standard deviation. So these are the measures which gives center and spread of the distribution. Now one of the most important parameter of the distribution which decides the shape of the distribution are moments. Now these moments are actually of two types. The first one is called as raw moments and the other one is called as central moments. Central moments are especially important because central moments consider the arithmetic mean as a center, and therefore from computational point of view central moments are important and they actually gives the description about shape of the uh, graph of your frequency curve, as well as it gives center and the point of concentration of the data set. So movements are actually the values which we can obtain from your raw data. So movements are actually mean, variance, third central moment, fourth central moment, which shows the spread of the distribution as well as center of the distribution and shape of the distribution. So mean and variance, we know that mean and variance provide information on the location, that is center, and variability, that is spread and dispersion of the set of numbers, and it provides some information about the appearance of the distribution. Now the raw moments are the moments about origin 0, and if we have n individual observations x1, x2, xn, rth raw moment is defined as mu r dash, which is equal to summation of xi raised to r upon n. So we can compute raw moments for r is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Generally we are interested in first four raw moments. In case of frequency distribution, xi, fi say as equal to 1 to k means we have k different rows for data sets and we have corresponding frequency fi of the ith class. So when we have a frequency distribution having xi as the midpoint of the ith class interval with frequency fi, and if we have total k classes, then we can compute rth central moment as mu r dash is equal to summation of fi into xi raised to r upon summation of fi. Okay, summation of fi is nothing but capital N. So the mean and variance are the first two statistical moments, and the third and fourth moment are also provide some information about the shape of the distribution, and this is very important for comparison. Now when we compute raw moments, these moments are moments about origin 0. So whatever data we have, we computed it for considering 0 as a center. Now if we compute moments about arithmetic mean x bar, those are called as central moments. Because arithmetic mean has special importance in statistics, we compute central moment as moment about x bar. So rth central moment is denoted by mu r only. Can you see here for raw moments we have dash. So mu r dash is rth raw moment, mu r is your rth central moment, which is given by, it is actually in case of n individual observations it is 1 upon n summation of xi minus x bar raised to r. I is taking value from 1 to n, and if you expand this binomial xi minus x bar raised to r, see what is xi minus x bar raised to r? It is rc0 xi raised to r x bar raised to 0 plus rc1. See alternate we have plus and minus signs. The second value will be minus rc1 xi raised to r minus 1 into x bar plus, in this way if you expand this particular bracket and if you take 1 upon n summation sign inside, we can write mu r is equal to mu r dash minus rc1. See, this one is actually dash, rc1 mu r minus 1 dash into mu 1 dash plus in general mu 1 dash raised to r. Okay, so rth central moment can be defined in terms of first r raw moments. So if I want to write binomial expansion, I can write binomial expansion by writing a minus b raised to n as a raised to n minus nc1 a raised to n minus 1 into b plus nc2 a raised to n minus 2 into b square plus or minus, the last term will be either plus or minus depending on the value of n, it is b raised to n. So if you take 1 upon n summation sign inside, you will have this expression. So in case of frequency distribution, we will attach only one weight, that is fi, to xi minus x bar, and the formula for raw moments and relation between raw moments and central moments will be same, where here n is equal to summation of fi. So rth raw moment about mean x bar is denoted by mu r and is also known as central moment, and it is defined as mu r is equal to 1 upon n summation of fi minus x bar raised to r, where r can take value from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to infinity, but we will consider only first 4 central moments only. Now in this particular expression, if I put r is equal to 1, so what is my mu 1 dash? My mu 1 dash is 1 upon n summation of fi into the bracket xi minus x bar raised to 1, where I is taking value from 1 to n. So in this case, because of algebraic sum of deviations, we know that sum of deviations of observation when taken from arithmetic mean is always equal to 0. Therefore, first central moment is always equal to 0. If you put r is equal to 2, we have mu 2 is equal to 1 upon n summation of fi into x bar minus x bar square, and this is the definition of variance, which is sigma square. So note that first raw moment is mu 1 dash is mean, that is arithmetic mean of the distribution, and second central moment is mu 2 is equal to 1 upon n summation of fi into the bracket xi minus x bar square is your second central moment, which is actually variance of the distribution. So in moments we have arithmetic mean as well as variance. Now if I consider the third central moment, the third central moment is given by mu 3 is equal to 1 upon n summation of fi into the bracket xi minus x bar raised to 3, and fourth central moment is defined as mu 4 is equal to 1 upon n summation of fi into the bracket xi minus x bar raised to 4. Okay, so in this way we can compute first 4 central moments. Now moments about any arbitrary point A is mu r dash. See, this particular thing is important in order to save your calculations. So if you take A as any arbitrary origin, then rth central moment about A is defined as mu r dash about A is 1 upon n summation of fi into the bracket xi minus a raised to r, where r will take value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 onwards. Now when you put r is equal to 0, so anything raised to 0 is equal to 1, so it is 1 upon n summation of fi xi minus a raised to 0. Since xi minus a raised to 0 is 1, 1 upon n summation of fi, summation of fi is also 1, so it is 1 upon n into n is 1. So in this way we can show that a 0th raw moment as well as 0th central moment is always equal to 1. So mu 0 dash is equal to mu 0 is equal to 1. Similarly, mu 1 dash is mean, arithmetic mean, and mu 1, the first central moment, is again equal to 0. So these are the expressions for moments about any arbitrary origin A. Now one can easily find out the relationship between raw moments and central moments and moments about any arbitrary origin A. So actually instead of doing this, we will do only one statement, that moments about arithmetic mean and x bar, arithmetic mean x bar and your raw moments. So we will develop relationship between raw and central moments. So instead of if I write x bar, so by writing A is equal to x bar, we have mu r is equal to mu r dash minus rc1 mu r minus 1 dash into mu 1 dash plus rc2 mu r minus 2 dash into mu 1 dash square minus rc3 mu r minus 3 dash into mu 1 dash cube, etc. The last value will be either plus or minus depending upon the value of r. It is minus 1 raised to r mu 1 dash raised to r. Okay. Now with this expression, if I put r is equal to 2, the second central moment mu 2 is equal to mu 2 dash minus 2c1 mu 1 dash into mu 1 dash plus 2c2 mu 1 dash square into mu 0 dash. Now mu 1 dash into mu 1 dash is mu 1 dash square. Similarly 2c1 is 2 and 2c2 is 1. So we have minus 2 times mu 1 dash square plus 1 times mu 1 dash square. So if you add these two terms, we have mu 2 is equal to mu 2 dash minus mu 1 dash square. So this is the relationship between second central moment and first two raw moments. Similarly, in this expression, if we put r is equal to 3, we have mu 3 is equal to mu 3 dash minus 3c1 mu 2 dash into mu 1 dash plus 3c2 mu 1 dash into mu 1 dash square minus 3c3 mu 0 dash into mu 1 dash cube. So if you put it here, so mu 0 dash is 1, mu 0 dash is 1, 3c1 is 3, 3c2 is again 3 and 3c3 is 1. So putting these values of your coefficients are rc1, rc2, rc3, mu 3 dash is equal to 3 times mu 2 dash into mu 1 dash plus, here one should write mu 1 dash plus 3 times mu 1 dash square into mu 1 dash minus mu 1 dash cube. We get mu 3 is equal to mu 3 dash minus 3 times mu 2 dash mu 1 dash plus 2 times mu 1 dash cube by adding these two terms. So this is the relationship between third central moment mu 3 and first three raw moments mu 1 dash, mu 2 dash and mu 3 dash. Similarly, putting r is equal to 4 in the above expression, we have mu 4 is equal to mu 4 dash minus 4 times mu 3 dash into mu 1 dash plus 6 times mu 2 dash into mu 1 dash square minus 3 times mu 1 dash raised to 4. So with this particular discussion, let us solve some problems. So up till now we have discussed that moments are a set of statistical parameters which are used to measure the different parameters of the distribution. So it is a tool for comparison of two or more different data sets. So while studying two frequency distribution, sometimes they may have same mean, same variance, though their shapes may be different. So in order to check all the parameters of the distribution, moments are very important. Further, moments are also useful to study symmetricity of the distribution, shape of the frequency distribution, height of the frequency distribution. So rth moment, raw moment, rth moment about say A, point A. Suppose A is any arbitrary point A, it is defined as mu Ra is equal to summation of xi minus a raised to r upon n. When A is equal to 0, we will get first raw moment. And when you put A is equal to x bar, arithmetic mean, we will get central moment. So this is a simple definition of raw moment as well as central moment for discrete data set. So when we compute rth raw moment for a given data set, suppose we have n observations x1, x2, xn, then mu r dash is defined as summation of xi raised to r upon n. And in case of frequency distribution, it is defined as summation of fi into xi raised to r upon n. So this is the table to find out mean for raw moments for individual n observations and for frequency distribution. So raw moments are also known as moments about origin 0 or moments about origin. Further, the first raw moment is our arithmetic mean. So when we replace a any arbitrary constant a by x bar arithmetic mean, Rh central moment is defined as mu r, which is equal to summation of xi minus x bar is to r upon n in case of n individual observations, and in case of frequency distribution it is defined as summation of fi into the bracket xi minus x bar is to r upon n. So these are first four central moments for n individual observations and for frequency distribution. Note that first central moment is always equal to 0, because here you can easily see that when you consider mu1, it is summation of xi minus x bar upon n. We know that sum of deviations of all observations from its arithmetic mean is always is equal to 0. So because of that property, the first central moment is always equal to 0. Similarly, the second central moment is denoted by variance. We have actually computed variance for different distributions, and in that case, if you see this formula, this is the formula for variance. Similarly, this is third and this is fourth central moment for given either frequency distribution or in case of individual data sets. So, the central moments are also known as moments about arithmetic mean, and the first central moment is always equal to 0 and second central moment is variance. So this thing is important. Now, how you will develop relationship between raw moment and central moment? So actually I have taken this proof before. So we know that mu1 is always equal to 0. Similarly, mu2 second central moment is mu2 dash minus mu1 dash square. Mu3 is equal to mu3 dash minus 3 times mu2 dash into mu1 dash plus 2 times mu1 dash cube, and this is formula for mu4, fourth central moment. Now this is the example how to find out moments, central moments from raw moments. Suppose first four moments, raw moments are given. So mu1 dash is minus 1.5, mu2 dash is 17, mu3 dash is say minus 30, and mu4 dash is 108. So we know that first moment, first central moment is always equal to 0. So mu1 is 0. So you have to write mu1 is equal to 0 without calculating it. Now what is your mu2? Mu2 is mu2 dash minus mu1 dash square. Now my mu2 is 17. 17 minus 1.5 bracket square. So it is simply 2.25. Minus sign square is plus. So 17 minus 2.25 is 14.75. So this is my second central moment. What is my mu3? Mu3 is mu3 dash minus 3 times mu2 dash into mu1 dash plus 2 times mu1 dash cube. So here my mu3 dash is minus 30. So write it here minus 30 minus 3 times mu2 dash, that is 17, into mu1 dash, that is minus 1.5. So this minus and this minus sign become plus, plus here 2 times mu1 dash cube. So mu1 dash is minus 1.5 cube. So this term will be minus. So if I do these calculations, my mu3, third central moment mu3 is 39.75. Similarly, mu4 is mu4 dash minus 4 times mu3 dash into mu1 dash plus 6 times mu2 dash into mu1 dash square minus 3 times mu1 dash raised to 4. So put these values of mu4 dash equal to 108, mu3 dash is equal to minus 30, mu2 dash is equal to 17, and mu1 dash is minus 1.5 in this expression. My fourth central moment is given by 142.3125. So using 4 raw moments, we can always compute first 4 central moment, that is moments about x bar, arithmetic mean x bar. So in this case arithmetic mean is minus 1.5 and these are the moments about arithmetic mean x bar. Now here suppose we have a data of size say 8. Here number of observations are 8. For this set of data, find first raw moments. So in order to compute moments, we require summation of xi, summation of xi square, summation of xi cube and summation of xi raised to 4. So mu1 dash is given by summation of all xi divided by n. So it is 49 upon 8. So this is my value of mu1 dash. This is the value of mu2 dash by taking summation of xi square upon n. Mu3 dash is summation of xi cube upon n. And mu4 dash is summation of xi raised to 4 upon n. So using these first 4 raw moments, we can always compute central moments by using this particular relation. So this is your exercise to find out first 4 raw moments, central moments using these raw moments for this data set. Okay. Now let us have a definition of symmetry. So symmetricity is one of the important property of any distribution. So we will consider a frequency distribution. So if mean and mode, median all are equal. So if mean, mode and median coincident with each other and suppose that point is A, then the distribution is said to be symmetric about A. So for symmetric distribution we will always have this type of frequency curve. That means so if you fold this particular paper exactly at this particular axis mean, at this particular line mean, then the two parts right hand side as well as left hand side, they are mirror images of each other. So if your curve is of this type, this particular type of curve is called as symmetric curve and it is symmetric about A, where A is your mean, arithmetic mean, mode or median. So this is how we can define symmetricity of the data. Now if you draw this particular frequency curve, suppose your classes are 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and if your frequencies are 5, 12, 20, 12 and 5. So can you see on if you consider this as a middle column, on both sides of this column the frequencies are same. Suppose here if the frequency is 12, here also we have frequency 12. Here we have frequency 5, here also frequency 5. So if you draw the graph of this particular frequency curve, it will look like this. Okay. So in this case, if you try to find out mean of the distribution, I will definitely say that it is mean of 20 and 30. So 20 plus 30 divided by 2 is 25. So for this data set, mean is equal to 25. So these are midpoints of the class interval. What is midpoint? It is lower limit plus upper limit divided, sum of lower and upper limit divided by 2. So it is arithmetic mean of these two limits. So it is 5, 15, 25, 35 and 45. Now if I take x minus x bar, since my x bar is 25, x minus x bar is actually it is x minus x bar upon h, where h is equal to say 10. So if I take this transformation x minus x bar upon h, it will be minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1 and 2. So if I take summation of fi into the bracket xi minus x bar, that will be equal to, if you add these values, this value comes out to be negative 0, sorry, this value will be 0. Similarly, if I take summation of xi minus x bar cube, this value is also equal to 0. So the value, if you add the values in the yellow band, the sum will be equal to 0. So this is again one of the important property of symmetric distribution, that all ordered central moments are equal to 0. Now we know that mu1 is always equal to 0, but for symmetric distribution, mu3, mu5, mu7, etc. all are equal to 0. So why this happens? This happens because frequency of the first class is same as the frequency of the last class. So frequency of the first class is same as frequency of the last class. Similarly, first and second last frequency class have same class frequency. So here we have 12 here and 12 here. So this is second and this is last second. So these frequencies are also same. So when this will happen, the distribution seems to be symmetric. So one of the important property of symmetric distribution is that symmetric distributions are always of bell shape. They have a single mode, that is unimodal distribution, and in that case arithmetic mean as well as mode and median coincide with each other. Second property of symmetric distribution is that the quartiles Q1, Q2, Q3 are equidistant, okay, or equispaced. That means what is your Q2? Q2 is actually your median. So Q1 and Q3 are equidistant from your median or Q2 or arithmetic mean. So this is again one of the important property of symmetric distribution, that Q1 and Q3 are equidistant from Q2, that is median. The third property of symmetric distribution is that all odd order central moments are 0 for symmetric distribution. Actually, we know that mu1 is always 0 for any type of distribution. So for symmetric distribution, mu3, mu5, mu7 all are equal to 0, which we have seen in the earlier example. So what are the examples of symmetric distribution? So if you consider height of college going students or height of a student having exactly age 20. So if you draw the graph of those students, suppose in Maharashtra, then the graph will show a symmetric pattern. Similarly, if you consider height of a student, say from who is a student of University of Pune, then the weight of the student is also follows a symmetric pattern. Similarly, if I find out distribution of number of misprints per page in a certain book having say 300 pages, the distribution of misprints will also follow a symmetric distribution. So this is all about symmetricity. Now the departure from symmetricity, if the distribution is not symmetric, then we call it as skewed distribution. If it is not symmetric, we will call it as skew. So skewness. So what is skewness? Skewness is nothing but lack of symmetry or departure from symmetry. Something which is not symmetric is called as skewed. So when you look at skewness of the distribution, it may be of two types. The first one is called as positively skewed distribution and the other one is called as negatively skewed distribution. In case of positively skewed distribution, we have higher frequencies at the first part of the frequency distribution, and for negatively skewed distribution, the data is concentrated at the last part of the distribution. So for positively skewed distribution, we have the curve which is elongated to the left hand side, and in that case arithmetic mean is greater than median is greater than mode. So in case of positively skewed distribution, your mode is at the lower end of the values of the distribution and arithmetic mean is away from your mode. Similarly, in that case, your Q3 minus Q2, the distance between third quartile and median is always greater than Q2 minus Q1. So Q2 is your median. So median minus lower quartile. For example, if you consider the annual income of a family in say Maharashtra, then that is the example of positively skewed distribution, because most of the people is having low income as compared to the people who are having a high income. So in this case, most of the data is concentrated at the lower part of income axis. Similarly, if you consider another example, that is number of deaths according to age. So we know that on an average when age increases, number of deaths also increases, and therefore there are the high frequencies or most of the data is concentrated at the upper part of your x-axis, and therefore the frequency curve the frequency curve is elongated towards the right hand side, and in that case we will see that arithmetic mean is less than median is less than mode, and in that case Q3 minus Q2 is less than Q2 minus Q1. For example, I have already discussed number of days according to age. So these are the types of skewness. Now, if you look at the graphs of the data sets, can you see here most of the data is concentrated at the lower part, and here mode is which is close to this particular end. Okay, so it is nearer to this end, lower end, and here median value is somewhere here, and arithmetic mean is at the last of this particular curve. So this is the example of positive skewness. So in that case, mode is less than median is less than mean. Okay, so and this in case of symmetric distribution, mean is equal to mode is equal to median, and the point of concentration is this particular line. Okay, so this is unimodal bell-shaped distribution, which we call it as symmetric distribution. This is the example of negative skewed distribution, because if you see mode is to this end. Okay, mode is to this end. Somewhere here we have median, and arithmetic mean is here. So in this case, arithmetic mean is less than median is less than mode in case of negatively skewed distribution. So here the tail is elongated to the right side. Here the tail of the distribution is elongated to the left side of the frequency distribution. So in this way we can differentiate between symmetric distribution, skewed distribution, and positive and negatively skewed distributions. Now, by looking at the frequency distribution, we just say something about the symmetricity as well as positive and negative skewness, but we cannot measure it. So one can measure it in a numerical form by certain relationships. So Carl Pearson has defined different measures of skewness. The first one is called as SK. So coefficient of skewness is based on this particular formula, which is arithmetic mean minus mode upon standard deviation. If you see to this graph, can you see this mode and mean? If you take the difference between mode and mean, that gives some measure of skewness. Mean minus mode gives some measure of skewness, but it is in terms of units of measurement. So if you divide it by your standard deviation, which is the best measure of dispersion, we will get a unit which we call it as coefficient, which is independent of unit of measurement. So SK is independent of unit of measurement, and it is defined by arithmetic mean x bar minus mode upon sigma. Now, in case of symmetric distribution, since mean is equal to mode, SK is equal to 0. Okay, when SK is equal to 0, we call it as distribution is symmetric. Now, if you look at this graph, if you take mean minus mode, so in this case value of mean is greater than value of mode. So in this case mean minus mode gives some positive skewness, and if you divide it by standard deviation, the value will be positive, and therefore if SK is greater than 0, we will say that distribution is positively skewed. Similarly, in this case, you can see that mean is to this side, which is less than value of mode, because mode is to the left hand side. So if you consider mean minus mode, that value becomes negative. If you take mean minus mode, that value becomes negative. Divided by standard deviation gives us SK negative. So when SK is negative, the distribution is negatively skewed. It should be negatively. The distribution is negatively skewed. Okay. Now, sometimes we don't have the value of mode. If there is a maximum frequency at lower end or upper end, we cannot compute mode. So this is the empirical relationship between mean, median and mode. Actually, there is no proof for this statement, but for skewed distributions, see, for symmetric distributions, mean, mode and median are equal. But when there is a skewness in the data set, then generally this particular relationship holds good. That is, mean minus mode is equal to 3 times mean minus median. So using the same formula SK, Carl Pearson has defined another measure of skewness based on mean and median, which is equal to Sk is equal to 3 times mean minus median upon standard deviation sigma. So these are the two formulae in order to compute coefficient of skewness, which are independent of units of measurement. Now sometimes we cannot compute mean or standard deviation, because in case of open-end classes, in case of qualitative data, we cannot compute arithmetic mean or we cannot compute standard deviation. So in that case, how to compute measure of skewness? So Bowley has defined a measure of skewness based on quartiles. We know that for symmetric distributions, Q1 and Q3 are equidistant from Q2. Similarly, in case of positively skewed distribution, the distance between Q3 and Q2 is greater than Q2 and Q1. So, in this way, we can define Bowley's coefficient of skewness, and Bowley's coefficient of skewness is given by these distances Q3 minus Q2 minus Q2 minus Q1 upon, this is the measure which is called as quartile deviation Q3 minus Q1. So when Q3 minus Q2 is exactly equal to Q2 minus Q1, then we know that the distribution is symmetric, because Q1 and Q3 are equidistant from Q2. So when this particular value SB is positive, the distribution is positively skewed. If SB is negative, the distribution is negatively skewed. So in this way, Bowley's coefficient work as a coefficient of skewness in order to find the numerical value of skewness. So we know that this is positive for Q3 minus Q2 is greater than Q2 minus Q1, so which we have discussed earlier. So this is the proof to show that Bowley's coefficient of skewness lies between -1 to +1. Now Bowley's coefficient of skewness is, this is the definition, Q3 minus Q2 minus Q2 minus Q1 divided by Q3 minus Q2 plus Q2 minus Q1. So if you take this distance, Q3 minus Q2 is equal to say B, and Q2 minus Q1, actually it should be Q2. Q2 minus Q1 is equal to A. Then minus B is B minus A upon B plus A. Okay. Now both A and B are distances, they are positive. Now let us have this minus A is less than or equal to A. So if you add B on both sides, it is B minus A is less than or equal to B plus A. So if you divide by B plus A, we have B minus A upon B plus A is less than or equal to 1. Suppose this is my statement number 1. Similarly, minus B is less than or equal to B because A and B are positive. So if you subtract A from both sides, minus B minus A is less than or equal to B minus A. So if you take minus sign, it is B plus A is less than or equal to B minus A. So divide both sides by B plus A, we have B minus A upon B plus A is greater than or equal to -1. So with the equation 1 and 2, if you combine these two equations, we have B minus A upon B plus A is greater than -1 and less than +1. Therefore, Bowley's coefficient of skewness lies between -1 to +1. So in the next lecture, we will find different measures of skewness based on central movements. So in the next lecture, let us try to find out different measures of skewness based on measures of central tendency such as arithmetic mean, median mode, standard deviation, and as well as different measures based on your partition values Q1, Q2 and Q3. So for today, it's enough.